Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm your host, TheDividendAristocrat, and today we're finally going to be taking a look at my dividend income for the month of April. Now, this is coming a little bit later than usual. I didn't get a chance to post a video last week, so we're finally going to be covering those dividends right now. And because it's a little late, I feel like we might as well cover some of my buys I've been doing in the portfolio as well. If you guys do appreciate the transparency and enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. I would really appreciate it. As a reminder, this is not financial advice and I'm just merely sharing my opinions on this channel. So as always, let's start by taking a look at my portfolio dashboard. So right here, you can see that I've invested almost $50,000 into my portfolio, and a lot of that has come from this year. I'm already up to $14,350 invested in 2025. And a lot of that's because I actually didn't invest my full goal in 2024. So I had a lot of spillover into this year. Now, if you guys did not check out my video for my investing goals for 2025, I'll just explain to you real quick. My goal is to invest at least $1,000 a month or $12,000 over the entire year. Now, clearly, I did end up surpassing that very quickly, and that's because there were a lot of opportunities in the market, at least in my opinion, so I was investing pretty heavily in the first couple months of the year. Now, if prices do continue to dip down more, or maybe they dip down over the summer significantly, if there's any sort of market correction or crash, I have a pretty sizable cash position right now at about $7,500 that I'll be investing as well. Now, in total, my portfolio value is $60,540, and I believe this is the highest it's ever been on a video, and my unrealized gain is $11,217, or a total return of 22.74%. Now, the total return doesn't matter as much because as I invest more money into the portfolio, I'm effectively bringing my cost basis up on most of my positions, so my total return will be going down. Now, in terms of dividends, I've earned $1,661 so far in dividend income, and all that has been reinvested back into the companies that paid them out in order to make that compounding go just a little bit faster. Going forward, I'm expected to be getting paid $974 per year, and that gives my current portfolio yield a yield of 1.61%, or a yield based on my initial cost of 1.98%. Now, for this yearly income, my goal this year is to hit $1,000 a year of forward-looking income, and we're getting pretty close to doing that, so I think we'll be successful this year. In total, I hold 22 different holdings, but if you guys have been keeping up with the news, one of my holdings, S&P Global, is planning to spin out, I believe, its mobility segment. So once that happens, I'm going to automatically get pushed to 23 different holdings until I decide to potentially sell that position or not. Now, we already looked at how much I invested this year, but in terms of dividend income, I've received $242 this year, and it's going to continue stacking up until I surpass last year's $729. This graph right here does a good job illustrating how quickly it's been growing, and hopefully 2025 will end up significantly higher than 2024. Now, in terms of which stocks paid the most amount of dividends, SCHD has recently surpassed VOO for that number one spot. My VOO position is significantly larger than SCHD, but the dividend yield on VOO is much lower, and that's why SCHD was able to pass it even at a smaller position size. Next, we have Altria Group, and that's because the company pays a really large dividend yield. I believe it was about 9% when I first purchased it, now it's closer to 8%. Then we have Target, who pays a pretty substantial dividend yield, Texas Instruments, and then United Health and Booz Allen Hamilton. Now, before we take a look at my dividend income for the month, let's just hop into my future value calculator real quick because we did just cover all this information and we can kind of see where it's going to end up in the next couple of years. Now, if you guys do want to try this future value calculator out for yourself, check out the link that I'll leave in both the description and the pinned comment. You guys can play around with this as much as you want. It's available for free on my Patreon. So my starting principal is my current portfolio value, which is $60,540, and my annual contribution is how much I expect to be putting in each year, which is not $30K, it's $12K per year. I was playing with this last time. Now, in terms of annual dividend yield, I could change it, but right now I'm just doing my current portfolio yield, which is about 1.61%. And then for expected dividend increase and expected price appreciation, this is where you can really play around with those numbers. So for dividend increase, we can go a little lower. Maybe I don't have such good luck with my dividend paying stocks, and they only increase by about 5% per year over the next 30 years. And for price appreciation, we might want to go a little bit higher. Maybe we're going to see a 9% price appreciation. So at the end of 30 years, my portfolio value will be worth $2.6 million, my dividend income per year will be $12,519, and my total return will be 553%. In that time, I would have amassed $174,000 worth of dividend income, which would have all been reinvested back into my portfolio. Now, let's assume that I was ready to retire in 30 years. In this case, $12,000 of dividend income might not be quite enough, so what might have to happen later on in my journey is I might have to move into higher dividend yielding stocks as I get to that portfolio value that I'm looking for. Right now, I have a pretty long time horizon, and so I'm focusing on total return over dividend income, but over time, I might start transitioning into dividend income. So right here, you guys can see all my dividend history, and what I do is I keep track of it in my order history tab. And so here's every single dividend I've been getting paid out in my portfolio, and these are some of the ones from last month. If you guys want to check out the full breakdown of last month's dividend income, I'll leave a link in the description. You guys can check out that video as well. But for April, I actually only got one dividend. It came basically in the last day of the month, and that was from Altria Group. They paid me $25.64, which I reinvested back into the company to get almost half a share of Altria Group back at a price of about $60 per share. Now we'll take a look at my Altria Group position in just a little bit, but it makes up about 2.5% of my portfolio, but it has a pretty significant dividend yield, which amounts to a pretty good reinvestment each time I get paid out. Now moving right here, we can see my dividend calendar for 2025. I had one for 2024 as well, which I of course filled up. But what it does is every time I put something into that dividend section in my order history tab, it also moves it into here automatically. And you can see right here that I got paid out dividends from Altria Group in both January and now in April. And over the next couple of months, we'll see it compound across, I believe, July and maybe October. I forget when they pay out the rest of their dividends. What I really like about this dividend calendar is it does a pretty good job visualizing how dividends are growing over time, and it also does a good job calculating how much I've been getting paid out from each stock. So in total, I've gotten $50.78 so far from Altria Group, and in total, I've received $242 for the entire year. Now, based on a monthly basis, it's not very significant for April, only $25.64, but for all of March, you can see right here, it calculated to $163.62, which was the most I ever received in dividend income in a single month. Now, from January to April, the change might not be that big, but what's really cool about this is I did not buy any more shares of Altria Group aside from reinvesting those dividends, and I went from $25.14 to $25.64, and it's going to continue compounding over time, especially with dividend increases and dividend reinvestment. Now regarding my monthly breakdown tab, I still keep this one. It's more of a legacy tab, if you will, one of the earlier ones I made in the portfolio, but I got $25.64 in April, and every single month it gets added into this graph right here, and you can see April's one of my lower months, and it's pretty consistent across the years. Now based on last year, May and June are not going to be as exciting as well, but July should be a pretty big month for me. Now before we do wrap up today's video, I do think we should take a look at my personal holding in Altria Group, and if you guys are enjoying the video so far and you've made it this far into the video and like the transparency, then leave a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. So in terms of my cost basis, I paid an average price of $43.29 per share, which is honestly not bad, and the current share price is at $59.43, so I've seen some pretty nice price appreciation, mostly coming in the last couple months. In total, I did purchase 22 shares myself, but with reinvesting those dividends, I do have 25.566 shares in total, so my amount invested was $952, and the current value, including both price appreciation and dividend reinvestment, is $1,519. Now, a lot of people are really opposed to high yielding positions, but if you look right here, this high yielding position is actually one of my best performing stocks in the portfolio. It's up 60% since I purchased it a couple years ago, and in total, I've earned $170 worth of dividend income. I've been really happy with this position, but we'll see. As cigarette sales continue to decline, we'll have to see if they can adapt or not. Otherwise, the stock might start correcting down a pretty significant amount. Now, in terms of yearly dividend, each share pays out about $4.08, so my annual payout across all shares is $104.31. That puts the current yield about 6.87%. My yield on cost is at 9.43% because of how steep a discount I was buying the shares at. In total, my allocation is at 2.5%, and that's right where I like it. I want it to be between 2 and 3%, but ideally no more than 3% because I think the total return upside is limited on this position. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, since this video is a little bit shorter because I only got paid out by one stock, I want to throw in a little bonus in here. Usually I keep these types of things separate these days, but I wanted to show you guys what I've been buying recently in the portfolio just for full transparency. So you can see right here that I purchased one share of schd on the 7th, and that's basically just my weekly buy. So I bought it at $25.68, and I purchased a little bit of VOO. I purchased 0.194 shares at $515.28, and that was about a $100 buy, which was my goal. Now, both of these are just my weekly purchases, and I try to do them every week, assuming I don't forget. Now, the more interesting purchase was United Health. I'm not sure why I broke it out, but I've recently started using Fidelity, and they're a little bit weird with how they invest sometimes. So this is the first time I've seen this happen. But basically, I was buying fractional shares, or a small amount basically of the share. And because of that, it broke it down to two different purchases right here. So I bought 0.5 shares first at $200, or about $3.99 per share. And then I bought it at a discounted price at $381.99 and $381.91. And it split up my $200 purchase into two separate purchases. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into United Health in this video. I posted a recent video talking about it a little bit more, but also if you guys want to see a featured video, I can put out another video soon about that, so just let me know down in the comments below. But basically, I do think it's trading at a pretty good valuation right now, and I already own a position in United Health, so although there are some risks going forward, I think this is a decent price to be buying into for myself. So as always, that does bring us to the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at my dividend income for the month of April, and also which stocks I've recently been buying in the portfolio. If you made it this far into the video, comment down below how much you got in dividends this month and which stocks paid you out. I'd love to know. If you haven't yet seen last week's video where I covered realty income stock and did a deep dive why I think it's trading at a pretty good price right now, check out this video right here. And if you want to see the video before that where I talked about United Health after its big dip after earnings, check out this video right here. Remember, the best time to invest was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. I want to thank every single one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.